Alright folks, today we're talking ND filters, and if you've been using ND filters, you'll probably notice that they tend to add a color tint or make some of your footage warmer than it should be. And if you're completely new to filters, what is a filter and why do they matter when we shoot video? Let me try to enlighten you on this topic and show you a filter that will get rid of that color shift in your image. It is this one, the NISI True Tone Variable ND filter. But before we dive into the nitty-gritty of what this filter can do, then let me explain what an ND filter is. So the short answer to that is that it's basically a pair of sunglasses for your camera when you're shooting video in bright conditions. But then you might say, can't I just crank up the shutter speed or the aperture to compensate for that? And yes, you can, but when you're shooting video, you want to make sure that you have your shutter speed set to double the frame rate, which also refers to the 180-degree rule, because when you do that, you get a natural looking motion blur when shooting video. You want to keep that nice bokeh or blur background in the image. You also need an ND filter because you can only achieve this look by keeping your aperture as low as possible. And to make everything much easier when using filters, you can use something like a variable ND filter, like this one, the NISI Variable ND, which are actually just two filters stacked on top of each other. And when you turn these filters, you can adjust the brightness or the intensity of the filter strength. Alright, that was a super short introduction to what a filter do and why you need one when you're shooting video. But let's just get back to the problem, because a variable ND filter tend to add a color shift, which is so damn annoying when we shoot video. You can of course compensate for this by adjusting some of these settings in your camera or do that in post. But there is a better solution, and it is this one, which I've been holding in my hand the whole time. The variable ND filter from NISI is called True Tone Filters. And yes, they are the sponsor of this video, and they have promised me that these filters will not add any color shift to your image of whatsoever. To give you a reference point of how this works, let's compare it to the Peter McKinnon Polar Pro filters, which I've been using for a couple of years now. I've actually been pretty happy with those, but there's one thing I don't like, and that is the green tint that comes with these filters. You can actually see it in the reflection. There's some green on there. Alright, let's take and compare these two filters side by side so that we can see the difference in the color shift that's on the Polar Pro, which we don't have on the NISI True Tone filters. Here they are side by side, and as you can see, the Polar Pro has this green tint when you look at the white in the image. The NISI do not have that. That's why they call it True Tone filters. So now that we know that these filters do what they promise and deliver a true color straight out of your camera, should you then buy one of these? If you already have the Peter McKinnon filters, should you then change them out to these? Let's take a look at the price of what this costs. If you take a look at this, the NISI filter, it's the 77mm, it's about $199. Compare this to the Peter McKinnon filters, which is the same size. It's about $280. So this one is more expensive, and you don't get any more in this than you get in this. Actually, just get a green tint. That's it. So yeah, this one is preferable. One of the reasons that I really like the Peter McKinnon filters was this cap right here, this protective cap that they can put around the filter. It's really nice. It's nice looking. It looks dope. NISI filters have done the same. They also have a cap. It's more of a hard cap, but it protects the filters when you have them on your camera. And I really like that because I actually always have my filter on the camera so that it protects the lens. I don't use those lens caps that much, the normal lens ones. I just have my ND filter on, and when I don't need it, I just take it off. Then they have added something which I think is pretty cool. I know that some like to use these, and you'll get this little spigot right here which you can screw onto the side of the front filter. Then you can easily just push this to the side, but there's a problem with this. There's not a carve out in this, so you can put the cap on So I've already lost one of these. I knew that I would lose it. I don't use this one. I just want to be able to put my cap on. Works fine without, I can just turn the filter without any problems. And this filter thread goes down to a 16mm without having any vignetting. And because it has hard stops, you won't get that cross within the filter at some point. And NISI are known for their filters. If you're a photographer, you will know NISI filters. The NISI filters comes in this pouch where you have this protective case inside. I just have them on my lens all the time. You can see this is the cap, the protective cap is on there. But a super dope product that will make your colors true straight out of camera. So if you're interested in buying some of these filters and this is the first filter you want to buy, there's a little tip here. Remember to buy it as the biggest filter for your lenses. This one right here is a 77mm. It's the biggest one I have, and I can always just add some step-up rings to the smaller lenses so that I can fit this bigger filter on there. And if you want to learn more about ND filters and how you can use them with your gimbal, you can go watch this video right here. See you in the next one.